Okay, folks, here we go then. So we've had a new arrival here at MoDXtra Games and Collectibles Towers. It's a new GI Joe Classified Series figure. It's Courtney Covergirl Krieger. Arrived in the post yesterday, so I'm going to get her unboxed on camera with you now. This is the only figure from this wave that I pre-ordered, actually, so I didn't bother with Outback. I'm too much in love with my old man Tiger Force Outback to bother with the classic look one. The Marauder Barbecue didn't appeal. The Crimson Bat didn't really appeal, although it does look good. I didn't bother with Falcon, and I'm glad I didn't bother with Falcon after what I've seen knocking around on the socials recently, but that's another video for another day. And I can't remember, was there another figure in that wave? There probably was. But anyway, this was the only one that I ordered, and she has arrived. Here she is. So I'll get her unboxed, and then I'll move on to some review thoughts in the vid. It's obviously a windowless package we've got here with CoverGirl. We've got a big piece of artwork on the front of the box there. It's got Erica Henderson vibes, you know, the artist who did the covers for Marvel's Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, and I think she did some Great Lakes Avenger stuff. In fact, that may actually be Erica Henderson. I'll have to Google that later and see whether it is Erica who's done the artwork here for CoverGirl. It's okay. It's kind of a bit cartoony. I like the vibe of it, actually, I think, but it's not in line with what we've come to expect from the GI Joe Classified series, but there we go. And then we've got a little promo photo of the CoverGirl figure here, just down in the bottom left. On the back, more digital render promo shots of the figures. So we've got CoverGirl, pick of the accessories, demonstrates the height, that's a 6-inch figure. Promo shot here of her with a shotgun. We've got the data card, which also appears on the side, and all the legal malarkey and bollocks across the bottom there. Speaking about the data card on the side, here it is. So CoverGirl likes driving tanks. She likes big bullets. She's a fan of a screwdriver and a spanner, and she trained as an ancient medieval blacksmith, and she is number 59 in the line. And then on the other side, it's just a zoomed in close-up of the artwork from the front there, look. Okay, so let's get this open then. I'll pop the tape across the bottom. So this will be in the little cardboard kind of little boxes now. Yeah, here we go. So we've got the weapons crate there, number 59. And then if I slide this one out, this will be the figure. Yep, there we go. There's CoverGirl. All right, going to get a quick bit of off-camera scissor action on the go. I'm going to pick all these stringy bits out. There we go. And there we are, release the figure with ease. And then into the accessories, this little box here. Got a name on the front, the figure number there. These are quite cool, actually. I've been keeping these and using them as little extra sort of storage boxes. But if we pop that open there, oh, paperwork. Then it's all in the baggie, nothing else in the weapons locker box thing. Shake everything down to the bottom. There we go. I'll do a little tear across the top like a bag of crisps. And we've got, let's have a look, spanner, pistol, a little iPad-y thing, and a shotgun. That's everything. All right, there we go then. There's CoverGirl with all her gear and accessories. So I'm going to go away and have some man-child playtime with the figure. I'll get her posed up, take some photos, just engage with the figure and have a bit of playtime, and then I'll be back in a couple of days to share some review thoughts. So stick around, because future Chris will be back with you with his review thoughts in 3, 2, 1. And here we are then, folks. Here is CoverGirl. It's been a couple of days now since the unboxing section of the video that you have just watched. I've been away, had some hands-on playtime with the figure. I've been posing her up. I've been taking some photos. I've made my little 1-minute showcase video with her. All that good stuff, getting hands-on so that I can gather some good, solid review thoughts to share in this video. And here I am, ready to share those review thoughts. So if you're new around these parts, a MoDXtra Games and Collectibles review, very straightforward, follows a simple structure I call the 3 A's. The first A is aesthetic. We're going to talk about how CoverGirl looks, get into the face sculpt, get into the texture details, get into the colour scheme, the paint applications, all that good stuff, to talk about the impact that the figure has on the eye and the shelf presence that CoverGirl has. Then it's over to the second A, which is articulation. How does she move? How poseable is she? All that good stuff. And then finally, the third A is accessories and added value. What extra bits and bobs are there to make this figure worth the cash price? And with all that said and done, by the conclusion of the review, it's my hope that I've given you some ideas to help you make up your mind if you're thinking about picking up a GI Joe Classified Series CoverGirl figure of your own. So let's not dilly-dally around. There's the little intro. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the aesthetic. Okay then, well, as always, folks, I've brought the figure a little nearer to the camera so that we can get a closer inspection of the aesthetic qualities of the CoverGirl figure. And overall, I think aesthetically, actually, this is a pretty decent figure. I'm liking what we've got going on here. It's not without its flaws, but overall, yeah, the shelf presence, the aesthetic impact on the eye has been positive right out of the box, actually, and a lot better than I anticipated after seeing some of the promo photos and the digital renders way back when. So, yeah, lots to like with regards to the aesthetic qualities of the figure. The first thing that stands out to me is the jacket. I love the coat. It definitely makes me pine for a General Hawk figure with a nice leather jacket with a furry coat, that's for sure. Lots of textured details in there. Got the pop studs, the pockets. There's texture in there that gives it the leathery look and feel. We've got the printed emblem here on the shoulder in the red paint application, which is lovely and neat. A very good piece of work. There's texture in the fur collar there, which is great. And then that is continued throughout the figures. You can see her shirt there. The creases across the waist, the buttons, the fact that she's, CoverGirl. She's working it a little bit with the cleavage too, so it's unbuttoned down to the front of the bust there. All really good. And then as we continue down the figure, you'll see that we've got the texture detail in the trouser legs as well. These are reuse, actually. This is Lady J's legs with a different paint application on it. But you can see the textured details in there. There's the boots look suitably leather with these protective shin pads on them as well. So loads of textured detail just to give the figure some depth, give it some character, give it some personality. And then all the additional kind of odds and sods like the floating belt. Again, paint applications here on the buckles to give it some lift, some shelf lift. Got the suitable leathery look and feel to the texture of that. With all sorts of interesting bits and bobs hanging off the belt. And then we've got the thigh holster and the thigh carrier for her iPad there. So all very good on that front. Now, of course, one of the key visual elements of the aesthetic qualities of GI Joe Classified Series is the face sculpts. I'm really into the face sculpts on these figures. There was some concern about the quality of the face sculpt with CoverGirl when we saw the digital renders, when we saw the promo photos. There was a bit of I don't know how to describe it, like a Joan Rivers misadventures with plastic surgery kind of vibe about it. It looked a bit sort of flattened and stretched out and a bit odd and disproportionate, and I'm pleased to report that with the figure in hand, it is nowhere near as bad as we imagined. In fact, the face sculpt's pretty decent. It is still a bit kind of angular. The chin's very pointy, the way the cheekbones are lifted, and the nose is quite narrow at the top, which has got a bit of a nose job sort of vibe about it. But I think it sort of works because the sort of flattened, stretched out, disproportionate element is gone. It looks like a CoverGirl model or an Instagram influencer who's just gone a little overboard with the filters. A bit wild with the makeup, you know what I mean? And it is a really good face sculpt. It's up to the usual standard. The facial features are well defined. There's nice texture and definition in there. The paint applications are top notch. The bright red lipstick lips. We've got the eyeshadow, the eyebrows, the eyes are really vivid and well put together. There's a bit of a sort of cheeky pouty thing, but it's subtle. It's ever so slight, so at first glance you think, is it a bit bland, or is she just doing her fish lips pout? And it's got it works is what I'm saying, is that even though it's a bit nondescript, it's kind of nondescript in that sort of CoverGirl model kind of way, which I'm appreciative of. And the hair sculpt is really great as well. Lots of texture and detail in there. You can see here, and then there's a ever so slight I don't know if you can see, there's some slight colour differences in the sculpt as well. I think there may have been a little bit of an underwash there, which is added. It seems sort of darker down the bottom here compared to the sort of reddier brown of the top there. So yeah, the head sculpt, I'm pleased to report, is nowhere near as, frying pan flattened as we all first feared when we saw the digital renders and the promo pictures on the GI Joe Classified stream, God, all those months ago. So yeah, awesome. I'm really into the colour scheme as well on CoverGirl. I'm liking this kind of khaki brown tan colour combination thing that they've got going on there gives her own sort of kind of colour palette identity in amongst the display of other GI Joes, but it blends well in the sense of being kind of military based colours and whatnot. So I'm very, very into that. She definitely stands out though in amongst some of the standard kind of green black kind of colours that you got going on in the darker browns, especially across some of the earlier male figures. But yeah, she's got a lovely kind of colour coordinated vibe that you would expect from, you know, CoverGirl, which is nice. So yeah, it works, and she's not so far out there. It's not wacky and idiosyncratic like Ali Viper, although I must admit I've confessed on some recent videos I'm leaning more into the idiosyncratic characters of late. But yeah, it's got a lovely kind of colour identity to it there as well, which I'm very appreciative of. So overall, in terms of the aesthetic qualities of CoverGirl, I'm a very happy chappy. I really like the figure. The face elements, the more angular looking face aside, I can't find much to criticise really in terms of the visual identity of the figure. She's having exactly the kind of on the eye impact that I want and expect and would like from a CoverGirl figure. I'm definitely happy to see that the face sculpt concerns that we all had originally are misplaced, and that yeah, it's a good looking face sculpt. It works. It's nowhere near as bad as we anticipated, and the usual kind of sculpted textural detail and color balance and the way it's framed, yeah, just everything about it works for me. So I am going for a big double thumbs up on CoverGirl because I'm very pleased with the aesthetic qualities of the figure. So there you go, that's section 1 done. Let's now talk about the articulation. Getting started above the shoulders, then we've got the standard GI Joe classified kind of head on a peg at the top, peg at the bottom of the neck, so you can see good range of motion down, good range of motion up, swivels all the way around in your full exorcist. We've got some tilt, all that good stuff. So there's lots of opportunity in terms of the articulation of the head area, and the hair sculpt at the back here doesn't get in the way too much of the looking up, although it's not a huge look up, but it's there and it's possible. The articulation has given it a little bit of a weird gap here. You see in the join where the top of her chest meets the bottom of the neck, which is a little bit aesthetically jarring when you've got it turned. So if I do that, you can see the gap increases, but that's, you know, it's an action figure, I suppose. You can't have it all. So yeah, good on the head side. Then moving down into the shoulder area, underneath the jacket here, there is a butterfly joint on the figure, but the movement of the butterfly joint is a little bit restricted by the jacket on the top, and mine was a bit stiff out of the box, and is still a bit stiff out of the box, even after a little bit of hot water action yesterday. So there is a butterfly joint in there, but then you've also got the hinge to bring it up to the T shape, swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep, double elbow that goes up to there. Then on the right arm, we've got the trigger finger with the up and down hinge, like so. And then on the left arm, it's the in and out hinge, like so. Into the torso, you can see that there is an articulation point below the bust line and an articulation point at the waistline. That gives a bit of ab crunch forward, a bit of ab crunch back, some swivel, some decent range of motion on the swivel actually, although it's mostly in the waist, the chest one. Yeah, you just kind of have to hold it in place. Again, the articulation here does have a little bit of an aesthetic impact. As you can see, if I go too far back, it creates these little gaps in the joints here, which can stand out sometimes, but overall it's okay. Right, the floating belts. I'm just going to talk about that while I'm down here. It's not really articulation, but it's also not necessarily aesthetic, so I'm just going to bring it up here. The floating belts are an annoyance to me. I've found that this floating belt here gets stuck kind of up in the jacket like that, and you have to keep kind of pulling it down and then swiveling it, and it gets in the way of the hip articulation, you know, if you're trying to do sort of like a leg up, step forward type thing. And then the thigh holsters are a bit loosey-goosey, keep having to sort of re-straighten these up and get them in the right spot, and this one just keeps falling off, you know. So it's a bit loose around the wrist and around the thigh, and that can be a bit annoying and a bit obstructional to the articulation because you keep having to kind of try and bring them up and line them up to this articulation point here. But anyway, let's get into the articulation points. So we've got the usual GI Joe classified drop-down joint there in the hips, so we can bring those down, gives a good range of motion out, good range of motion forward. Got the thigh cut there at the top of the thigh. Decent double knee up to there. Swivel at the top of the boot. And then the hinge and rocker on the ankles. One point on the ankles, I don't know, once again, if this is just something that's going on with mine out the box or whether this is, a production line issue. I've got loosey-goosey ankles, particularly on this right one here, which has been affecting some of my posing, my ability to get her to sort of rigidly, independently stand in some of the positions that I've been trying to get her into. The left one's a bit crunchier, but the right one is a bit loosey-goosey. But I've had some advice recently on dealing with loose joints, so I will soon get around to giving that advice a try and seeing if it works out. It was Serpentor originally that elicited the advice, but I might try it out here with CoverGirl. But yeah, it's a bit loose on the ankle, and so she sort of when you've got her standing, she kind of leans forwards and topples, and it's not quite resistant enough to keep her rigid in some of the poses I've been trying to get her into. So yeah, the articulation is sound. It's a solid set of articulation. I'm always super impressed by the range of articulation that the GI Joe Classified team have managed to develop for the female-shaped figures. Leaps and bounds ahead of what we're getting with Marvel Legends female figures, for example. So very pleased with that. Double joints, pinless joints, all lovely stuff there. Very well put together figure, well thought out engineering for the posability and articulation of the figure. Loose ankles and crunchy butterfly joints. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. That has affected some of my enjoyment of my kind of, photography, display, playtime stuff that I've been doing with the fig. But, you can take remedial action on that. I just don't feel like you should have to. But there you go. That's a different conversation for a different day. But that's not enough to lead me to highly criticise the articulation. I'm always very pleased with GI Joe Classified Series articulation anyway. So the second A is a thumbs up from MoDXtra. Right, okay, let's now move into the accessories and added value, shall we? Oh, just quickly, before I get into the detail of the accessories and added value, something I meant to mention in the aesthetic section of the video, but didn't, but it's kind of related to accessories. She's got a backpack peg that's drilled through the jacket and into the main body of the figure, but no backpack. But I kind of like that little touch, if you're into kit bashing and sharing your accessories across your figs. She's ready to wear a provided backpack from any other member of the team, so that's nice, isn't it? Okay, so CoverGirl is a mechanic, and this is acknowledged in the accessory selection. The first item to that particular element of the character's identity here is the spanner wrench that comes with the figure. Single piece of moulded plastic, but there's some finer detail in there to give it more of a visual identity. So that's nice and fine. I might have liked that in a more metallic colour than just a plain piece of black, but that's cool. And that is able to be stored on her belt. There's a little slot here on the side of the belt, and it just slides through like so. Keeping the theme going, we've got another accessory here that goes with the mechanic theme. We've got a little tablet, kind of iPad thing with some technical drawings of a Wolverine on there. That's a nice touch. I like that. I like when there's a few accessories that are not weaponry in all instances, but kind of still tie into the theme, so that's a good touch. And I like that they've bothered to, I think it's a sticker. Yeah, it's a sticker to give it a little bit of extra detail and life, to give it some shelf lift here. This can also be stored on the figure, so you'll see on the back, it's got a little groove cut out across the bottom of the tablet there. Then she's got this thigh-mounted holster for it, and you can see the little cutaway here at the bottom, so it just slides in like so, with the groove matching up. Just like that. There you go. Then into weaponry, she's got this pistol here. I really like this, actually. So I was saying in my wish list video at the outset of the year that I'd like to see more kind of gunmetal paint applications on the guns, and lo and behold, here is one. So yeah, nice single molded piece of plastic, but with the gunmetal paint application across the chamber at the top here. Got all the details sculpted in. There's some nice detail on the handle, on the grip. And if you can see that there, you see the star and the texture in there. So yeah, that's nice. I really, really like that. And in fact, in some of my posing, I've been using the pistol more than I have the other weapon, which I'm about to show you. But nice piece of sidearm action going on there. And that can be stored on the figure as well. CoverGirl's got a thigh holster here that the pistol just slides into nice and neatly. And it's lovely and tight, not going to fall out anytime soon. See? Although The spanner wrench is on its way out, look there. And then finally, we've got the pump action shotgun here, a single piece of molded plastic. It's black with the green pump grip here on the barrels. Again, lots of nice details sculpted into it to bring it to life and to give it more of an identity, which is lovely. There is no storage area, or at least not one that I could find on the figure there, so it's all about either carrying it or dropping it in your bits box when it's not in use. One observation I found, the trigger guard and the handle on the shotgun are quite big and bulky for the smaller, more diminutive hands that they've put on her. So your usual kind of sort of pop in and twist is a bit fiddly, and I noticed that there were a few stress marks on the other side. Actually, let's take a look at that, shall we? Yeah, I don't know, you can't quite see them very well, but they're there just on the, can you see just on the underside of the trigger finger, and how that's kind of having to sort of stretch to get into the trigger guard there. So the gun, the handle is just a bit chunkier than the size of the hand grip, and that's for both sides, for the left and the right hand. I've just supposed to be putting it on this side because I like the up and down hinge for the main weapon, and also because I always kind of assume that they're generally right-handed. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind. So the accessory selection is a solid accessory selection and does definitely add value to the figure. I'm loving that a couple of the accessories tie into the theme and the personality, the character, identity that CoverGirl is as a mechanic. That's really nice with the tablet and the spanner wrench, so appreciating that and liking that there's some accessories there outside of the normal sort of routine of helmet, knife, pistol. You know, it's got a bit more flavour to it, which I'm very pleased to see. The shotgun is good, it's solid, it's decent, although I could maybe see myself cross-purposing that over to Flint. I might like to see him with that shotgun. Really love the sidearm, that's great. Would I have liked more? Yes, I always want more in terms of accessories, there's no two ways about it, but to have 4 decent pieces I think is a good thing, so I'm going for a thumbs up on the accessories and added value as well. Okay, folks, comparison time now, and here is CoverGirl with another recent female GI Joe Classified Series figure that has joined my collection, the Zorana. You can see that Zorana's build is a little bit more bulkier. She's slightly taller in height. In fact, if I had her knees not slightly bent, then you'd see the difference significantly there. Both really well articulated, though. You know, the range of articulation in them is equivalent, despite that slight size and shape difference. But yeah, I think the ladies of the GI Joe Classified Series are looking and feeling great. Although I meant that in a less pervy way than it came out then. Please, I promise you, I meant that in a much less pervy way than it came out my mouth. Here's CoverGirl with Spirit. I don't know why, I just felt like these two had a good sort of like kind of colour palette visual identity together, and so I've had them next to each other on the shelf for a day or two now, which kind of works, and they've both got the kind of shoulder, the red shoulder symbols. I don't know why, there was just something about the two of them that kind of clicked for me in terms of the display feel, the kind of language and tone of what I had going on with the two of them together there, so they were just a nice fit. But what you'll see is that CoverGirl is almost as tall as Spirit there, which I think is a nice touch. Here's CoverGirl with Outback, one of the more kind of bulkier, more athletically built Joe figures there with the broader shoulders. Again, they've got a nice, you can see how they kind of tie together well. They've got the little splash of colour to give it some more vivid visual flavour, but then still got the military look and feel. You know what's going on with this pair. They're about to get down to some Cobra battering business. But Outback's my favourite figure, so I always do a comparison with Outback. And I think CoverGirl and Outback work really well together. And finally, here she is with the Baroness. I suppose probably the more shapely, more seductively female shape of the GI Joe Classified Series female figures, although you pay a price for it there with regards to the articulation. I didn't even review the Baroness because I'm largely, even though I love the way she looks and that kind of femme fatale presentation of the look and feel of the figure is really top notch. The articulation is really pants, and also look how loose that is down there. But anyway, there's a comparison to a more kind of you know, that sort of more shapely femme fatale kind of thing they've got going on with Baroness there as well. Okay then, folks, well, here's CoverGirl on the turntable. This is the pose I sort of landed on yesterday when I finished up a bit of playtime and some photography that I was doing. I'll admit, it's a bit vanilla. I tried getting something a little bit more exciting and interesting going on with it, but I haven't kind of settled on something yet. But I really wanted the spanner wrench, that part of her identity in the sort of narrative of what I was telling with the way I was displaying her. So I'll figure something out, but for the moment, yeah, this little sort of vanilla stance of her slapping the spanner wrench into the palm of her hand, I don't know, intimidating a cobra viper or something, will do for now. But I think you can probably gather in this final thoughts section where this is going, because overall I have pretty positive thoughts and feelings towards the figure. Aside from a few minor irritations, like the loose ankles, the floating belts being a little bit annoying. I had to heat up the butterfly joints. I'm never into having to do too much remedial work with my figures. Overall, I'm really, really happy. I love the colour vibe of the character. I love the way that the colours are complementing one another and frame up the visual identity of the figure. I'm so happy that face sculpt is nowhere near as bad as I anticipated, which is awesome. The textural details are in there. She's super well articulated. We've got a good selection of accessories. So yeah, what more is there to say? I'm just labouring the point now. I would say that if you're thinking about picking up a CoverGirl for yourself, if you're like me, if the way I look at these figures is in line with you, then yeah, definitely go get yourself a CoverGirl, because you could do a hell of a lot worse. Marvel Legends. So yeah, that's it really. I'm done. I'm recommending CoverGirl. I'll ask if you have enjoyed the review today and you found my thoughts and the kind of thorough review detail kind of thing that I do here useful, then please do take a moment to hit the like button and, hit the subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost you nothing, and it takes you just a second and means ever so much to me, and you'll never miss out on any more of my action figure reviews or other content with games and collectibles. So we talk about statues, we talk about trading cards, we talk about comic book stuff. If it's nostalgic and nerdy and is part of this man-child's collecting habit, then it'll get included on this channel. So if you're a huge adult child like me who worships at the broad church of nerddom, then hit subscribe. All right then, folks, well, I'm gonna wrap that one up there. I'm looking at the screen. I've not timed this very well because once again the turntable, the figure, is going to end up with their back to the camera as I do my final sign-off. Do I just sit and wait? Nah, I'll just wrap it up there. There you go. There's CoverGirl from behind. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you have a great day.